Hey, AfterBuzzers and Floribama Shore fans, Happy New Year! We are back talking about episodes 8 and 9, and boy, oh boy, was it spicy and a little bit smelly, these two episodes. We've got Gus and Jeremiah not getting over their feud, and is there a new romance about to blossom? I cannot wait to break it all down for you right after this.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz...
Hey guys, what's going on? Happy 2020. Can you believe that we're here in this decade? I still can't seem to wrap my mind around it, but how are you guys doing? It's just me today, Allie, Nasta. We will be having our other lovely members join us on Thursday when we pick back up to talk about episodes 10. But hey, we're here now. So let's talk about episodes 8 and 9. What were you guys thinking? Let me know in the comments below. And just make sure you're messaging us on YouTube, on Instagram, or whatever. We want to know your thoughts because this season is very steamy and very dramatic. And it's not coming from the girls this season. Not that it ever does, but I feel like most of the time it was because of like Gus and Nilsa. But now it's purely due to the guys. And let me tell you, I'm over it. Are you guys over it yet? I just feel like Gus and Jeremiah need to squash their pride and their ego and... what is it, like build a fence and get over it? That's what they need to do. Alrighty, we're jumping off with episode 8. And they're all having fun. They're partying. What I thought was funny is I noticed, and I feel like this is the second time I noticed this, that Nilsa had a cell phone at a bar. But then I kind of thought back and was like, wait, was that her cell phone? Or was that like a fan member that saw her out there and they were like, oh, take a selfie with us? So... I don't know. I was trying to figure that out. I think it wasn't her cell phone because I've noticed it multiple times. I think one time in the house they were using them too. So, which they've never been able to even have them in sight. So I was a little confused by that. So if you can clarify for me, that would be great. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's a thing they're allowed to do this season off screen. So obviously the Kristen and Jeremiah thing seems very strange to me. Okay. Let me just tell you, because Jeremiah likes this girl, but is totally okay with not talking to her. I'm just so confused by this. If you have a girl that has come to your house to see you, or maybe she just wants to be on the show, we don't know that. But why are you letting the girls take charge of this? Like, you need to be schmoozing her up, telling her she's pretty, telling her you like her. Like, why are you off on the other end of a bar taking shots? You should be buying shots for her. It was so aggravating. And obviously, like, Kristen's having so much fun and she loves the girls and everything, but it's also like, okay, what's happening here? Let's talk about it. And they were supposed to and, like, never really did. They never really decided what they were going to do. And then, of course, you've got Gus in her ear being like, me. Like, you don't want to be with Jeremiah. You want to be with me kind of thing, which, whatever. He thinks that he can schmooze her in her head, but I don't think so. I don't think that would happen. And I'm wondering if Kristen will ever make an appearance back on the show. I just feel like they needed an extra person to either, like, dilute the situation or something, because this season has been so freaking dramatic and, like, so many fights that I think that if they had, like, one extra person in there, they're like, come on, of course, you can come into the house. It might diffuse it. So, obviously, that moves us to Kristen and Nilsa kind of hitting it off. I wasn't really sure if this was, like, a real thing. Like, obviously, Nilsa was saying, like, maybe in my past life I was supposed to be, into girls. And so I think that maybe it could have worked. And I think that Kristen also was more into Nilsa than Jeremiah. But that's also because Nilsa was talking to her and wanting to get to know her a little bit better. So, come on, Jeremiah, step up. Also, fast forward to episode 9, the whole, like, letting a girl pay, and then also Kortni's been in this situation where she's had to split the bill with him. So maybe it's best if Kristen just be with Nilsa or just not even be coming over to the house anymore and trying to give Jeremiah a chance, because he's gotten a lot of chances. So Kortni and Aimee. Kortni obviously is still out of the house dealing with her tonsils. In my head, I'm thinking, like, this is the longest tonsil recovery ever, but it's because they're shooting every day, and obviously we're only seeing snippets. So it was like, I think she had to recover for 10 days, but because we see it every week, it just feels like it's taking her super long to recover. But anyway, Aimee gives Kortni the 411 and lets her know what's happening with Jeremiah. But like, it was kind of frustrating that we didn't hear like more as to what like Kortni was thinking. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to know more of what she thought, because her and Jeremiah was supposed to be really close, and maybe she would have a better stance on it. But I get it. She can't really talk right now because of her tonsils. So fair. So that kind of leads us into Pride, where Mattie is now brought into the situation. So Mattie, I feel like, is a very interesting character. Obviously, as we see, she gets pretty, drunk at the end of this episode. But what's interesting is that Jeremiah in the beginning is a little bit threatened by Mattie, because he feels like, oh my gosh, here's another, member coming into this house that's on Gus's team. So I feel like I'm not going to have a team member, which I find extremely crazy, because it's like, wow, she's actually the only person that's kind of sided with him and been his friend thus far, even though she doesn't know exactly what went down with Gus and Jeremiah. But I feel like she has, because she is an outsider, like, she obviously doesn't want to pick sides, because that's not fair. She wasn't there. And I feel like it's kind of frustrating, because I feel like Gus is putting her in a situation where she might have to choose a side, like, oh, who are we going to be on? Because Gus has been just super, just prideful. And it's like, let it go. Like, stop trying to prove a point and just let it go and, like, have fun. Which also leads me to believe that there's just way more that went down with Jeremiah and Gus. But anyways, I'm kind of going all over. So let's stick with Mattie for a second, because how do we feel about her joining the house? I really have enjoyed her. I feel like she's really been a diffuser so far. Obviously, in episode 8, she kind of goes off the rails and is a little bit crazy. But she was only worried that there wasn't any vodka in the house. I mean, can you be mad at a girl? And also, I think what's interesting is, like, obviously, you saw they got super drunk at the pool party and everything. And then she kind of realizes at the end of the day that she was very embarrassed by, what she'd done. But what I loved is the house surrounded her. She felt the love. She wasn't going to leave, didn't want to leave. But I'm glad that she stuck it out. And I'm glad that the house kind of is backing her, because I feel like she's adding just so much right now. Because for a while, it's just there's too much tension. Like, I don't know what's happening with all of them, but I just feel like it needs to calm down a second, and they need to just like maybe all go get a massage or something, because everybody needs to calm down. So I'm loving Mattie as an addition to the house. I hope you guys are too. Please let me know in the comments below. I'm going to now jump over to episode 9, and that starts with them all getting a new job that Mattie puts them up for. So they obviously, were testing it. They were getting, tested out on the last episode when they were passing out flyers at Pride, and they did a good job to have a job. And I almost forgot that they used to work at Shore Dogs. So now they're working at this fish place, and Mattie's going to stay, and they are all so hilarious, because I'm just very confused, because the way they're describing work, which I get, like, they'd have to clean fish guts, which does not sound pleasant to me either. But it's just funny, because they all just hate working, and they're just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do work. And it's just kind of funny to hear that, because I'm like, but you guys had to do this at Shore Dogs, and you never complained about working. So I guess it just goes to show that, like, it just was maybe more of a fun job. I don't know. And this one's more nitty gritty and smelly. Like, the smells of all the fish and having to clean up, like, I probably couldn't do it either. So I don't blame them on that. But also what I love about Mattie joining the house is not only is she kind of being a diffuser to all of the drama, she's offering great suggestions, like, hey, let's go do a non-alcoholic activity and just get to enjoy each other. Boy, did that turn south, which is crazy how it could have. But so obviously they're all having fun. It's all fun and games when they go to the trampoline thing, and they're, playing dodgeball. But when the moment they decided to split Jeremiah and Gus up on opposite teams, we all knew this was kind of going to be a sticky situation. And here's where I'm very kind of just frustrated because it's like, okay, I get it. They made a pact that whoever won the dodgeball game would have to pay for the other one's dinner. But I feel like it was kind of nonchalantly brought up, and it wasn't like, it was like Gus was being the one that was like, oh, you're going to feed me with a silver spoon. But I just feel like it wasn't like fully mutual. So I feel like it'd be one of those things where it's like, okay, great, the winner, like, we'll buy you a round of shots or something, but not like a whole dinner. And I feel like this whole situation made me feel uncomfortable. So first of all, Gus is way too intense when he's very competitive and obviously like is dealing with a lot of aggression right now, which let's not forget he did just go through a breakup. So I understand that. And like, he's probably going through some other things and maybe like the extra aggression he's feeling towards the lost friendship between him and Jeremiah. But like, you don't need to hit Candace that hard with the ball. Like, that was so aggressive. I get it. That's the nature of the game. But something about super over aggression and like having that like evil look on your face when you're throwing a ball at someone and just like is like, whoa, calm down. Like, let's calm it down a second. But obviously super happy. They win. So it's Gus, Nilsa, and Kirk that win. And they go out to dinner. And now it's the awkward scenario of everybody having to split up who's going to pay for who at dinner. I am also very confused and why they did this. Why did they decide who was going to pay for each other's bills and why they were going to make Jeremiah and Gus pay bills? I'm assuming maybe this was like a producer thing because this was just obviously asking for drama, and maybe it's just because that's how they sat across from each other. I don't know. But this whole situation is just so sticky, and I feel like something that also, like, I don't think Jeremiah's in the right. I don't think Gus is in the right. I think they both right now need to squash their pride in order to have fun in the house. But it's just really frustrating to watch them go back and forth like this because it just seems very immature. And it's like, obviously you guys have had way deeper issues before you got onto the show. I think all you need to do is talk it out. Talk about your feelings. Gus, if you're mad about his brother stealing your car and you felt like you weren't a part of the house and they were rude to you, tell him how you feel. Like, tell him that bothered you. And Jeremiah, like, you feel like you lost such a friend, be like, no, dude, you were drinking. You don't remember the situation clearly, but he hasn't really talked to him about what actually went down that night. So then when we're at dinner and they're sitting across from each other and they're just making comments and then Jeremiah leaves, it's just like, okay, the fact that they were able to be there long enough to have their food all come out and Gus orders a whole menu, I feel like Jeremiah should have then been like, listen, let me extend an olive branch. Like, let me take my breath outside, come back, extend an olive branch, and then just pay for the bill after dinner. What do you guys think? Do you think that Jeremiah should have just paid for the bill and been like, whatever, let's squash it? Because I feel like if he would have done that, Gus would have just been like, okay, that's one like point towards us mending some sort of something at this point. But I feel like it was just like, because he purposefully didn't want to pay for Gus, it just was so frustrating. Because it's like, I get what Gus did was annoying, but just squash it. And then to have Mattie go out of her way to pay for the meal, and the fact that neither of these guys could squash their pride enough to just make sure that Mattie wouldn't have to pay for it. Like, Gus, if you are so upset this situation, don't let your friend take care of your bill. Be like, you know what, fine, if Jeremiah's gonna be this way, let me cover the rest of my tab. I just found that whole entire situation to be extremely frustrating, and I feel like Mattie was the only mature one to be like, whatever, just put it on my tab and let's leave, because them fighting at a restaurant is just so ridiculous. Like, maybe we should talk about this outside at the beach house and just have a cordial conversation about who we are and why our friendship has gone down this deep, dark hole. Because now it's definitely not coming back because they're both too prideful to knock down those barriers of what they've gotten to. But I don't know, man. I just feel like all of this has gotten out of the control, and I was just watching that like, what is happening? And I'm now thinking too, Nilsa mentioned that like Mattie might have a crush on Jeremiah, but it's like, maybe that could be true, but also it's like she's also just being a good person by trying to like be the fire extinguisher before all this blows up. And I really appreciated that she was like, just let it go, let it go. But a lot of them just can't let it go. But yeah, these 2 episodes, I just feel like I'm wondering if this is going to be a situation where we run into the whole Gus and Nilsa back and forth like last season, but now it's the Gus and Jeremiah like back and forth. I hope that they can come to some sort of resolution, because right now it's just kind of hard to watch. Like, nobody wants to see 2 people that used to be best friends fight that much. Like, I think it'd be easier if I knew that they had some sort of common ground where they could talk about it, but they're not talking about it, which is so aggravating. But I guess we'll just have to see and wait and see if they mend it all out. Maybe they're friends now. Obviously, who knows? Maybe this was just one episode or one day or 2 days, and the show's making it look like it was the whole summer. We don't know that. We're just talking about what we see. But thank you, guys. I feel this was a very short show, and I'm sorry about that. But we love you so much. Thanks for watching. Please, as I've mentioned before, make sure you comment below. We will be back next week with a full show for you, full panel. We love you so much, and Happy New Year. Allie Nasta here. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at AllieGirl. And, of course, follow AfterBuzz TV on all social media platforms. We'll see you on Thursday. Bye, guys.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.